Hi, and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And my name is Amanda, also known as Dramatic Mandy.
And today is Monday, July 1st, 2019. This is episode 334. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back and checking us out for one more episode. And if you're new, hopefully you enjoy this episode and you'll come back in the future and check us out again. So, here we are, back in my house, in my living room, craft room area. It is Monday evening rather than Sunday, but again, this one has a life that I wish I could have. You've got some social game anymore compared to me.
I have two friends.
It's two more than I have. No, just kidding. I have friends, but I don't really do anything other than knitting related stuff. But anyway, neither here nor there, right? So, let's talk about the last 2 weeks because I have been to Minnesota and the Chicago suburbs in the last 2 weeks. Shortly after we recorded last episode, my friend Amber, the yarn hoarder, came to my house and picked me up on Wednesday morning, bright and early. And we hit the road driving up to Madison, Wisconsin, where we picked up our friend Liz from the airport. And then we continued our journey to Rochester, Minnesota for the Zombie Knitpocalypse, also known as ZK. Which is a retreat hosted by the Stockinette Zombies, who are Amy and Megan. And they did a wonderful job hosting their 7th year. I cannot believe this is their 7th year. I've been to 6 of the 7. I did not go their first year. However, I've been going every year since, and we have vended every year since. So we got a wonderful goodie bag with some accoutrement, things in it, as they usually do a really nice job. Funny story, because I have been going to this retreat so long, I just assumed I registered way back 9 months ago. So I rolled up with my luggage and they're like, pick out your name tag. And I looked and my name isn't there. So then they're scrolling through the list and they're like, we don't have you on the list. And so then they look at PayPal receipts and I never registered for the retreat. So luckily, because I was already a vendor, it wasn't that I was taking a spot that, was not already there. Vendors automatically get a spot in the retreat. So I paid for my retreat that afternoon. I felt like a dunce and, laughed about it the rest of the weekend. But, you live and you learn. So hung out. I really took this year and just relaxed. As I spoke last episode, both of us were not feeling great, and that continued for quite a while, and I still don't think I'm 100%. I've been dealing with, for those of you who don't know, I'm a type 2 diabetic. I've been dealing with some raised blood sugar numbers, and so there's been some changes in the last few days of really trying to hone down on my diet because my numbers have been so high, and I think that's played into it. And so I think Thursday I didn't wake up till 1 o'clock. I didn't roll out of bed. I slept 15 hours and something said my body needed that. So but it was a good time in Rochester. Great food, hung out with really good friends. I had really good conversations, and that's really all it was for me. It was just hanging out and having a good time. And we vended on Saturday. It was a wonderful market as usual. And to those of you who came out specifically just for the market, thank you once again for taking time out of your day to, come visit the market and see what the vendors had to offer. So Sunday morning, Annie and I got up. We drove back home to Illinois. And then we died like the wind, and Friday afternoon we hit the road and we headed up to St. Charles, Illinois for a trunk show at Woolen Company, which the owners, Angela and Andrew, do a wonderful job of curating an exquisitely designed and curated store. It is not the largest store, but it is a beautiful store inside and out. And so they are gracious enough to make room for us to sell our yarns. And so we set up on Friday evening and relaxed Friday and Saturday morning. We had a breakfast and had a wonderful trunk show there and got to meet a lot of wonderful viewers. who were able to swing on by and check out the trunk show. So we tore down on Saturday and headed home, and then yesterday we did inventory, and that was about it. It's really hot here in Central Illinois. It was running close to 98 degrees, not the band, the actual temperature this afternoon. Oh, God. Really?
I don't like 98 degrees, so.
It's more my age.
I just wasn't a fan. Backstreet Boys all the way. Goodbye NSYNC. No one cares.
Oh, wow. Well, I was more of an NSYNC fan, so. Sibling rivalry.
They want to get back together without Justin Timberlake, like that's going to work. The only decent one was Joey Fatone, but whatever. He's funny.
So, that's where we've been, and we had some work today, and I wasted an hour going to my former dentist. They booked an appointment. I had a teeth cleaning last week. Not that you cared to know, but they noticed that one of my old fillings had cracked in a small piece of tooth that I didn't even notice. Went with it, and they wanted to fix the filling, so they scheduled an appointment with me today. Put it in my phone for today, and the girl must have put it in for Wednesday, and there was no way they could fit me in today. My former dentist is a half hour away, so I drove a half hour for them to tell me that they could not fit me in. This is maybe number 3 or 4 of things that they've done to really tick me off, and the last thing should have been the straw, but today I just said I want a refund and cancel my appointments, and I'll be finding a new dentist. So, those big box dentists, I was going to Aspen Dental. You see them all over. I don't recommend them. So they're easy to get into, but they do not care about the customer. So anyway, neither here nor there. I will get off my soapbox and I will pass it over to this one to talk about. Don't have to look at me like that. Jeez.
Talk about what?
If she had daggers in her eyes today, better watch those earrings. Just throw those throwing stars at me. Grab my earrings. Boom, boom. Anyway, what have you been up to the last 2 weeks?
Nothing good last week because Andrew's dog Cornelius decided to be a butt, and I'm not even tell the whole story because it makes me very mad. But he peed. Not a pond, not a lake, but an ocean in my back seat. So, yeah. It took me a week to get over that, and I still don't like him that much. So, there's that. That happened last week. But, so nothing else good. Until this weekend, I had a good time with my best friend Miranda. I went there Saturday. We went to Lake Shelbyville. I don't even know which direction that is in relation to here, but regardless, we hung out in the lake, and I got a major sunburn, and before you yell at me for not using sunscreen, I put like layers and layers and layers on repeatedly all day. It did not matter. It was really, really hot. Like, no clouds. The sun was beating down. And we were in the water the entire time. And my legs even got burnt. And I was in the water the entire time. The only time I was not in the water was when we were on the boat ride to the water. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it was bad. But it was fun. And then yesterday, so it took some convincing, but Miranda's kind of a scaredy cat to a lot of things. But I saw this ad for my Instagram for this Cirque Italia show. It was like it was called like Paranormal Cirque Italia. But they had a stop in Springfield this whole weekend, like Thursday through Sunday. And I convinced her to go. Well, I just kind of was like, hey, I want to go to this. I might go by myself. Do you want to go with? And she, of course, she does her research. She looks online, like, sees everything. Because as soon as I said paranormal, she was like, circus? Is there going to be clowns? She's terrified of clowns, like, all of this stuff. And so finally, on Sunday, I was like, okay, are you cool with this? Like, let me buy tickets. We got to go because it's about an hour away. And she was like, okay. And I was like, okay, pick the seats. And so she's sitting there, like, stalling. And then her boyfriend comes home. And I was like, hey, Tony, you want to come? And he's like, sure, I guess. And then she was all in. So I'm like, okay. So we went. And it was, oh, wow. It was amazing. It was like if someone, like, put my brain into a performance. It was spectacular. It was like a cabaret mixed with circus, mixed with a horror show, mixed with, like, well, Miranda was terrified because as soon as we walk up, she's like, oh no, because I wasn't sure what to expect. I've never been, and this wasn't totally like a circus. It was different, but I honestly had no idea what to expect. And we walk up and she's like, oh no. We see, like, a clown face on, like, a poster. She's freaking out then. And then she grabs my hand, and there's a guy with a chainsaw, you know, like, it looked like you were about to walk into a haunted house. And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, let's just try it. And she ended up, so she was freaking out a little bit. Once the show started, she ended up having a blast. Like, we were, like, probably at most 100 feet away from these people. And, like, the acrobatics was amazing. It was awesome, but it was rated R. I would say more for the profanity and sexual jokes. There was a lot of that, but it was hilarious. Like, I am one to have an RBF, if you know what that is. I don't want to, like, swear on here.
Resting B-word face.
Yeah.
Which we both suffer from hardcore.
Yeah. But, it kind of takes me a lot to smile, but it was like a subconscious thing. Like, I found myself, I was like, oh wait, I'm smiling like a kid in a, like, candy factory. Like, I didn't even realize. I was like, this is amazing. Like, I probably look like a goofball up here, but I was, like, so happy. I don't know. It was awesome. And I wanted to, like, stay there forever. They're actually going to be the next 2 weekends up in cities in, like, towards Chicago. And I'm like, maybe I should go again because it was awesome.
I wanted to go, but she told me it was outdoors in a tent. And yes. I was like,
It was in, like, a huge, like,
circus tent.
But it was, like, a creepy one, too. Oh, it was so cool. But, yeah, they had really big fans. But, like, when I first got in there, I could already feel my hands sweating. And I was like, I'm glad I didn't bring Steve because he'd be complaining the entire time.
Like, oh, fuck. But I don't like being hot.
It was awesome. They pulled so many people from the audience, and they did hilarious, like, comedy bits and whatnot. And there was even, like, magic involved, and I was just, like, geeking out over here. And it was, like, an Italian, like, troupe of, like, the Cirque du Soleil. And they were all, like, really attractive Italians. Oh, all attractive, okay? So that just added to it. But, well, because Miranda joked because we brought Tony, and there were some really pretty ladies, you know? And she's like, oh, she's like, I know what his favorite part was. And I was like, hey, you can't blame him because we were staring and talking about the dude, so... But all in all, like, if you're into that sort of thing, I highly recommend Paranormal Cirque Italia. They go, like, everywhere. They've been going since about a year ago. And I would honestly be down to see them again because I kind of looked more into it because I got so hype about it. And they switch it up a bit and do different things a little bit. So, but it was amazing. And I can't stop thinking about it. So, that's, like, all that's in my head right now. Oh my goodness. One other thing. So, my favorite horror movie is, like, the Saw franchise, and they had a bit to it, and I don't know the technical, like, term for it, but it's where, like, the person's, like, on that giant, like, circle, like, hula hoop, and they, like, you know, like, do crazy things on it. Like, they fit their whole body in it.
Mm-hmm.
and they like go whatever. I don't know, but there was this whole bit with like this saw stuff, and it was awesome. And the guy on the aerial ropes or the ribbons. Okay, I can't. I'm gonna be able. I could talk about this for hours. So anyway, I'll shut up now. It was amazing.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time and that
really
you
good.
actually went
Yeah.
and had a good time. Unlike your big brother's, like, I found a reason to get out of it.
No air conditioning. I'm not
out.
going.
I'm out. But even Andy said that too. He's like, you had me till it was outdoors. But yeah, so check that out if you're into that. Just Google them. I'm sure you can find their tour schedule.
Oh yeah, they're on Facebook and Instagram. Already following them. Awesome.
All right, well, let's get to the knitting now that we're about 15 minutes in. So, what is taking a bow this week? I got nothing.
No, because I haven't really done anything.
So, no finished objects this episode, but that's all right. I have been working on things, so I do have stuff to show you. So, what's performing this week? First up for me is my wrap design, which I have tentatively moved over to Jelly Roll. I did look it up, and while there's a few different designs with that name, there's no wrap with that name, so I might call it the Jelly Roll wrap. But I did finish the third stripe of the third color, and I have like this much left of the first ball of the main color, which tells me I'm probably going to need more than 2 balls. But Andy's a little disappointed with how light the color changes are. It's a soft gradient into the last 2 colors get a little more saturated, so this is Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper. The gradient set is called Fruit Salad, and the main color is called Mary's Jam, and it works in lace panels done in stockinette with beads and then garter stitch stripes. It is just a straight up wrap. There is no bias, and I'm using beads, size 5 triangle beads from Bead Biz. So there's that, and that's on a size 5 US, which is a 3.75 millimeter needle. And then I did work a little bit. We went to knitting last week to drop off an order, and I did work on my Alpine blanket, which is knit using Serdar Alpine, which is a very fuzzy but soft yarn. And I am on skein number 9 of 20 that I have bought. Whether I'm going to need more, I don't know. But here is where we are at with 9 skeins. So I have a feeling I'm going to need at least 5 more to make it a decent size, but we'll see. Again, I did cast down more stitches than what was recommended. I think they recommend 80 for the blanket, and I did like 150 something. It's on my pattern page, but I'm quite happy with the width of this. If it was any smaller, narrower, I don't know if I would be as happy, but I'm knitting this using size 15 10 millimeter needles, and it's just garter stitch. You just cast on and knit. But it's going. Luckily, I had a spot right under the air conditioner at knitting. They were really busy, so there was not very many seats around the table left. So I sat kind of off to the corner, and they're like, "You can come join us." I was like, "No, it's all right. I don't need people's body heat around me while I'm knitting this." Next up is my History Has Its Eyes on You socks. I worked on these last night while Andy and I watched some TV. I am on the second sock, which I showed you the first finished one last week. But this is knit using White Birch Fiber Arts in their 7525 Superwash Merino Nylon in the History Has Its Eyes on You colorway, which is the yellow and gray self-striping. It is a 10 stripe repeat. And then I'm using a Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper mini skein in pulled the lightest color from the London Fog gradient for the cuff, heel, and toe. So there's that. And I'm knitting those on a size 1 US, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle. I think I have 10 more rounds to go before I put in some scrap yarn to do the afterthought heel. I do count my rows when knitting socks. I do like that, and I use I didn't for the longest time. I just use a regular clicker, but I find the little row counters that you can put on your finger to be very helpful, and I just put it on my pointer and click it as I finish a row. So last but not least, oh, never mind, second to last is my Verdun shawl. Oh, and I wanted to finish a row to show you better. But I worked a lot on this. This is all I worked on at the Zombie Knitpocalypse. It is a 4-color shawl. I'm using Leading Men Fiber Art Show Stealer in Nude Scene, Poseidon, Dirty Truce, and Black Walnut. I'm using a size 6 US 4mm needle, and this is by Melanie Berg. And I'm at a short row right now, so it's kind of hard to see. But here's the progress that I made. So you started here striping and increasing, and then you eventually joined the green and started gartering this way with some stripes. And then now I am doing some other short rowing, and it switches to the brown for the main color, and then it'll stripe in some green. So I worked a lot on this. This grew a lot at the retreat, and I'm excited to see its progress. So I have some ends to weave in back there.
All the ends.
It's a lot of progress. I was happy with that. It's, again, knit on a size 6 US 4mm. I think I said that already. I don't know. It's late at night. And then right when Mandy was getting here, I started a new granny square. I thought I'd show you that. I don't know what yarn this is. I want to say it's Bumblebee Acres Farm. It feels like one of their mini skeins, but I'm not sure. So I'm hooking that. But I thought I would quickly show you a shot of my blanket so far with some new squares that I've added. Maybe. Seems like the right way or wrong way. I don't know. So this top row I've added some. I know I did these 3 because they're mostly semi-solids ended up next to each other, but I just randomly dig in my basket and add a new one. This one I know I added last night. I want to say this is Honey Girl Farms maybe, but see all the squares. And there's all this over here. So I do 5 round granny squares on a size C hook using fingering and sport weight yarn. I then join as you go using our Leading Men Fiber Art Soliloquy undyed, which is a 100% superwash BFL. I have joined in the second skein of that to join these as I go. And I am doing 15 squares wide, and I'm going to go 20 squares high. That's 300 squares total, and we will see where we're at from there. So, and here is my basket of minis that I acquire at shows and scraps from projects. And then here is my basket with the blanket and the basket in it. Because yes, I have baskets for baskets. Don't we all? I think we do.
I mean,
makes sense to me.
I have like plastic Walmart bags inside of other bags, but not baskets and baskets, but you know.
You will.
You do you.
You will. Eventually.
I don't think so. I'm not going to let you rub off on me that much.
She says yet. Alright, that's it for me.
Me?
What have you done? Not
much. Well, my socks, I haven't worked on them at all, so no point in showing you. The 80/20 scarf by Alexis Adrian, I have started on the other color, which is I don't know what it's called because I can't see it.
Lion Brand Heartland and Mount Rainier Tweed.
Yes. Okay, so if I can get it untangled.
So the teal is Cuyahoga Valley, and then the new one is Mount Rainier Tweed.
So last time I had all of this done in the
all that
teal.
glorious seed stitch.
And then, hey, I like it.
I know you do.
The tweed, it doesn't show as well on camera, but there's lots of pops of like low color and stuff.
Our hot light is blowing it out a little bit.
Yeah. But I think it's cute. So there's that. I was like, hey, am I 20% done yet? No? Okay. That's alright. No, I actually really like it though. I'd like to make more. Maybe one for myself, you know.
After you make one for me.
I don't know if I like you that much,
I've
but
already asked you for one. You said you do.
maybe when I was like being nice. But anyways, next.
Are you feeling the shade? Because I'm feeling it. She's throwing some shade this way.
I'm just mad at his significant other for scaring me today, so I'm taking it out on him. Because he technically brought Andy into my life, so just saying. Anyways, next is...
Before she goes on, we have to explain. She can't just put that out there and she's, people are like, oh, okay, whatever. So we went grocery shopping, and what we do a lot of the times is we stop at the studio after grocery shopping to drop off things that we buy for the studio. And so she was still working, and Andrew walked in because she didn't lock the door. We usually tell her to lock the door when she's by herself, which sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. And I get it. But Andrew walked in and goes, boom, and scared her pretty badly. So then that put her in a bad mood for the rest of the night.
I was deeply intent on listening to a podcast about Bonnie and Clyde, and I wasn't facing the door. If he would have just walked in, and I would have been fine. But he had to scream.
Ooh, look at this.
Anyways, on to my Audra rap by Amba O'Brien. And I am tweaking this a little bit because it calls for like 3 colors, and I'm only doing 2 because I don't like stripes that much. Like, they were like little stripes, not big ones. I don't know if that makes sense.
She likes big stripes, gentlemen.
But
not little ones.
That makes no sense. Anyways, so I have gotten this complete garter section done, and then I have started the lace section, one of them, with the Just Peachy, which my count was off, and I'm like, oh great, I already messed up, but I'm just rolling with it because it's for me anyway, and it still looks fine. So as long as it looks fine, I'm just gonna roll with it, you know. But that I'm using Leading Man Fiber Arts, a director's interpretation, and then Just Peachy. And then, oh, my Huge Shift Afghan, I have not touched that. Oh, my favorite murder mystery rap. I'm working, although I can work a long time on this, and it looks like I've done nothing because it takes me a little while.
We did have a craft night last week, and she worked on it over here.
I'll do, like, if I work on it, I'll do, like, 2 rows, and then I'm like, okay, that was tough. Let me go on to something easier.
But you'll eventually get it done, and you'll love it, right? It's not a race.
Well, oh, yeah, I know. But he showed me what a cable needle was, and that kind of changed my world. Oh, speaking of which, I gotta give you yours back, because I bought one for myself.
I showed her the one that I prefer, which is the J hook. So you use the short end of a J to slip your stitches on, and then you put it onto the hoop, and that's where you put it to the front or back, and it holds the stitches there, and then you just slide it, and then you can knit off of the longer edge as if it's your knitting needle. So that's the one that I prefer the most.
Yeah, I really like it, because I was just using another, like...
knitting needle?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Which some people too. Some people use a DPM.
But the J-hook works well for me.
And you can easily cable... I shouldn't say easily. A lot of people cable without a cable needle. I have tried it. I find it works best with thicker yarns. However, I prefer using a cable needle.
Well, see, this is still 1/2 because technically you're supposed to cast on like 2 pieces at the same time. But as you know from last time, the I-cord took me about 6 hours. So, but it looks really cool. Like, I'm excited that I'm like cabling now. I think it looks really cool. But it is taking me a little while longer because the cabling side of it takes me a bit, and then the other side is almost like a reward because you're basically just like purling and knitting like back and forth a lot.
But it's not an intuitive repeat.
Yeah, no. Some of them are like purl 3, knit 5, purl 7, like knit 2, knit 1, purl, like back, like randomly. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so you have to like really look at the pattern. That's also why it's a little harder for me because especially like this is more like I can handle on the weekends, but during the week I like something a little more like monotonous or whatever, like where I'm just like I don't have to pay as much attention, you know.
That's the nice thing about having multiple projects is you can find the project.
What you turned me into? I think I'm doing more than you right now.
Yeah, because I only have 4.
Yeah.
And you have 5 technically.
And yeah, that's the last because the other 2 I haven't started working on yet this time.
In rehearsal, what do we plan on working on? I don't have anything particularly in the forefront of my mind, as I've got things going on, so nothing for me.
No, see, I hate going to knitting because even this last time when I'm there, my eye catches on patterns and I'm like, ooh, and then I'm like, no, Amanda, no, because I can't even work on all the things that I got right now. So, no.
So behind the scenes, my spinning. I don't have anything to show you. I'm still working on the second 2 ounces of the first draft Superwash Merino in spilled ink. I have maybe 1 more ounce to go, and then I can apply it. So I am home for the next 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So hopefully I'll be able to get some more of these other crafts going because I'm not traveling so much. So moving in the scene shop, our other crafting, I did take down my cross stitch to show you. I'm working on a Heaven and Earth design called One for Sorrow. This is being stitched on 10th stitch, which is essentially a half stitch, 2/1 on a 25 count easy grid fabric. You can just see there the shading of like darkened sky. It's not a whole lot to see, but there's like probably 15 colors in there to make that shading, but I'm almost done with about 2,000 stitches or so. I'm almost back to the start of the page, so I kind of work this way on a page.
If you had to guess, how many years do you think that's going to take?
No idea. No idea.
If you had to guess, just ballpark it.
3 to 5?
I was going to say 5, so...
That's what it is.
No, it's going to look awesome.
I was telling myself this week that like maybe I need to narrow down my crafting, and while I enjoy some, I enjoy things more than others, and knitting's really been my passion. What I think I've decided is that the triangle loom is going to go down in the basement. I didn't even finish the first project, but it is just not calling my name, so unless Amanda wants to finish it off and get a gist for it and then go for it, which she has the right to do, there's room here for her to do that, but it is the least of my favorite things right now. So everything else I'm still enjoying. The cross stitching, sometimes I'm like, ugh. But I do like the end result. It just takes forever. The weaving I do love. I am spinning. It is very meditative for me. But yeah. So I am weaving still, but I don't have anything to show you because it's a hassle to try to pick it up in front of the camera. But I can't wait to show you when it's done. I'm getting there. And then again, the triangle loom shawl. I don't know. I tried it. It would have been nice to try it before I had bought the thing at the auction, but maybe I'll try to sell it in an event or something. Anyway, what are you working on?
I have not worked on my cross stitch or my paint by number. Although next weekend I do have plans to go to Miranda's, and I think we're gonna just chill and probably paint or whatever. I did only one day, but I did pick up the diamond painting that Steve didn't want to finish and passed over to me, and then I didn't want to finish it, and I kind of put it to the side. I didn't bring it, but I don't even. It's like a scenery kind of.
It's based off of some artwork, and with
Yeah.
that does a lot of colorful, like, a lot of color in the background, and then, like, there's people in a park or whatever walking away, and they're kind of, like, the people are all in black, and all the background is very, very colorful, rainbow colors.
Yeah.
You'd know it, but
I will. I'm thinking about working on it more, and if I do, I will come in and show it. But
all right, let's move into In the Spotlight. What are we watching and reading? Andy and I are still watching Westworld Season 2. We are still continuing to watch Chambers. I think we have 2 more episodes left. And that's pretty much all that we have watched. I did watch the finale of Amazing Race with him. But anyway, that's about all that I started a new book, but I'm not done with it, so I'll talk to you about that when I finish it.
let's see. Well, last weekend watched Live PE. It's off for the next 2 weekends. Luckily, I'm busy with Miranda, so it's okay. Queen of the South is still going. Watch that every Thursday. All right, you can go down. This is my buddy. And then what I have watched, and I binged it because it was amazing. It's a show on Netflix called Mr. Iglesias. If you know the comedian Gabriel, I can't talk. Gabriel Iglesias, he goes by Fluffy. I've always really enjoyed his stand-up. I've watched a lot of it over the years, but he came out with a little sitcom thing, and he's a history teacher, and it kind of put me in the feels because, like, it's set in the school, and, like, him interacting with the kids, and he's, like, such a good teacher. It kind of, like, put me in the feels a little bit, but every joke is hit after hit, at least for me. Like, it's definitely, like, my kind of comedy, so I loved that. I was laughing so hard at one point. My mom was upstairs, and she was like, what did you take? Like, what is going on with you? Because I was laughing so hard, but it's really good. So check that out. But yeah, that's all I've watched.
I got some stash enhancement because I went to a retreat. I got goodie bag yarn. And then I may have purchased 2 things from some new dyers. I did a quick walkthrough of the market, and there was a lot of returning people or other vendors that I had seen before, but the 2 right next to me, or I should say the 2 to the right of me, I had not heard of before. So there was some yarn that called out to me, and Andy didn't throw me too much shade, so I purchased yarn. I traded for some, and I purchased some. But I got yarn in my goodie bag, and then I swapped it out with somebody for some other goodie bag yarn, because at ZK they usually have 4 featured dyers, so everybody kind of gets one of 4 options. And this year they did 3 half skeins again, which I find interesting. I don't really know why 3 half skeins, because they don't give you a project or an idea to use with them. But one of the featured dyers was 3 Irish girls who I love, I'm friends with. I had lunch with one of them at Market Day. We've collaborated with them. But I got a trio of their half skeins at ZK 2 years ago, and I brought it home and I found a pattern for it. But the trio that they had this year from 3 Irish Girls, they were 3 different dye techniques, and I couldn't think in my head how I would work them together into a project, which is what I wanted to do. So I actually fell in love with this colorway, which was the kind of the hit, the belle of the ball in terms of goodie bag yarn, and it is from Lavender Loon Yarn Company, who is Sam, who's wonderful, and this is her Zombie Beach colorway, which she dyed for ZK 2019. It is 3 50-gram skeins, 231 yards, a total of, what is that, 693. Yeah. Quick math there for you. And it's a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, but I think it is the high twist version because it is not the same twist as our 75-25. But it is kind of a gradient. Like you have the really light here and then a medium and a dark, and there's speckles of green and pink and blue, and it's really, really pretty. And I'm thinking I'm just going to do a simple triangle top-down shawl and just let the gradation happen. Maybe alternate skeins when I'm fading in the colors. And I think I will do it where it increases on the edges every row and on the spine on the right side row so that the tails get longer rather than like a actual equilateral triangle. That's where all sides are equal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want that. I want more of an acute triangle.
You want an isosceles triangle or a scalene triangle?
I don't know. Now you're getting fancy.
Sorry, math nerd.
So anyway, look at that. So that was my goodie bag yarn, and there was other things in the goodie bag, including a project bag, which I kept. We'll see how much I use, but it's from Anna the Silver Shed USA, which I love and we work with, and we carry her bags in our shop. It is a different style than I have, so it actually has like this, I don't know what you call it, like waterproof material at the bottom, which their whole theme this year was at the lake or something, so I mean that makes sense, because they have them in a boat with an umbrella or on the beach and on the dock. Anyway, and then it's got this little topper so that you got your project bag, but then you can drawstring it. And it has a little, if you care to do that, on the go type thing. So, yeah, it's got green on the outside. So that was the project bag that came with the goodie bag. And then at the market right next to me was Dyed in the Wool Yarn Company. And I was kind of quick glancing at some of her yarns, and I had liked a couple of them, and I saw this base, which we don't carry, and it has yak in it. It does not say what the base is or the yardage or anything on her color weight or on her tag, which is a little sad, but it is on Ravelry. I think it's like 436 yards. It's the merino yak nylon blend. And I had picked one color, but Andy is like, no, I really like this one. And this was originally what grabbed my attention. And I think it says Solemn Berry, but it is like a really dark Cabernet color. And of course, yak is a natural gray-brown, so it takes colors quite a bit darker. And then I was thinking a 2-color shawl, and I had paired something else with that. And Andy actually picked this up, and then I saw the speckles in it, and I said, yep, it goes together. Oh, now see, this one has a label. This is the Yakety Yak sock. It is 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, 10% nylon, 435 yards. And this one's called Poupon. But if you see, there's some of those very soft speckles in there. So I picked a 2-color shawl in my stash to knit this with. And it's cool. Her ball band says, this is a ruler. This is a legit ruler. Use me, don't toss me, on the bottom.
Those were like my middle school colors. But like those are deeper, but...
Yeah, you were maroon and gold, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
And then right next to her was Direful Yarns, who I had not heard of before. And this is their Direful DK, which is 100% superwash merino, 250 yards to 115 grams. So same base that we carry in our Dramaturg, and this is in the Sir Malcolm colorway. And I saw this, and then she had a trio kit, and she had kind of put it together for Jody Brown's beach something shawl, I don't know. And then I was like, and it didn't come with the pattern already, so I was like, I'll just take one. I'll be good on my budget and just have one skein. So I picked out a hat pattern to knit this out of. Eventually, right? But it has a pattern picked out. So that's my stash enhancement for this episode. Do you have anything? You got a cable needle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Miranda gave me, it has nothing to do with yarn, but I kind of have to shout her out because I adore her. She picks up on, like, the minimalist of conversations, and she rolls with it. So, a while ago, I was telling her how, as a kid, all I wanted for my Barbies, I had everything. All I wanted was a toilet for them. I got a bathroom set for them, and it didn't have a toilet. It came with a shower, a sink, all of that. No toilet. Could never get a toilet. So it was part of my birthday gift, but I guess it didn't come in on time. She got me a toilet, and it flushes, and it's amazing. So yeah, I got that.
These are things you could see if you follow her on Instagram and check out her Instagram stories.
Yeah, I did put it on there. But, great day.
All right, this episode we have a giveaway, and it is not a book, it is a pattern that recently just came out featuring our yarn. And the wonderful designer, who is a friend of ours, Shayna Cohen, who goes by Shayna Lines Designs on Ravelry, has donated a copy of her newest pattern, which released at ZK. I'm sorry, I meant to bring up her picture, and she is a hoot and a half, so all of her modeled photos are not too serious. But it is called Modulancho, and it is a modular poncho, and it uses one color of yarn for the body, about 150 grams skein, and then it uses another color for the shoulders, another 150 grams skein, and then a 20 gram mini just for a color pop around the edges. And you can also do color pops on some welts on the shoulder. So here is Shayna giving her best Shayna surprise look. And it is a little blown out. We'll do that and see if it helps. There she is. Shayna's gonna laugh so much. So you can see it uses, the black is our Soliloquy and Darkest Hour, and then the sides is our Diva base, which is Merino Silk in Just Sayin', and then the seam around the edge is a mini skein of G's Louise, and it can be worn that way, or you can also turn it sideways and also wear it that way as well. And she had a couple of people from ZK test knit, including Jeanette of Sun Valley Fibers and Amy of the Stockinette Zombies. So there's the three of them wearing their modulanchos that way, and then they all turned them. And it was a hit at the retreat. So we are getting patterns printed, and we will be carrying kits for this in the booth here soon, probably starting at the Super Summer Knit Together. But Shayna has agreed to give away one of her patterns, so that's going to be our giveaway this week, is a copy of Modulancho by Shayna Cohen. And if you care to enter for a copy of that pattern, you need to go to the Dramatic Knits Ravelry group, be a member of the group, and post once per person to the entry. And this week's prompt is, the pop and the broccoli that I had with dinner. We had grilled chicken breast and broccoli, roasted broccoli, if you're caring. Trying to be a little bit of a healthier bandwagon with, again, the elevated blood sugar numbers. If you had to break one world record in order to get $1 million, what record would you break? I thought that was interesting. I found a different conversation starter website, and I thought that was $1 million. Whereas this one would say $1 million.
I wouldn't say that.
You say doll hairs.
I don't think I'd see it like that, though. Not when we're talking about that much money.
So what record would you break? If you had to break a record.
Any record if I was going to get that money. Maybe, sleeping the longest. Or, going on a roller coaster like the most amount of times.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that for a certain roller coaster in Disney or whatever. But yeah, I'd enjoy that.
Yeah, I don't.
And get $1 million. Psh, count me in.
I don't know what mine would be because I can't. I know I couldn't sit and knit the longest. I don't know.
Ooh, I could like watch a movie like over and over and over more than anyone else probably. Like a good movie.
Yeah, but what if they give you a bad movie?
I mean, I don't know what bad movie you're talking about. I like a lot of movies. Anyways.
So go on over to our thread on Ravelry and enter for a copy of that. All right, moving into Inside the Knitter Studio. This is where you can ask us questions, and each episode we'll answer one. There's a question and answer thread that is on the Dramatic Knits video podcast group on Ravelry. If you're so inclined, please go over there and ask us a question, and we will get to it in the order that it appears. So this episode, it is a trifold question. Number 1, how did you get into dyeing, and did you go to dyeing school? No, I did not go to dyeing school. I don't know of a dyeing school, but I have not taken any classes. As Andy and I will tell anybody, it was a lot of trial and error and just kind of finding our own way, which I think is really important. When we started the idea of thinking we wanted to dye yarn, we considered reaching out to people and asking for help. And the best advice I give people who ask us for advice or help in dyeing yarn, getting started, is do it your own way. Because if you don't, all you're going to be doing is replicating somebody else's technique. And you need to find your own techniques, make your own voice on the medium of yarn as an artist. Because if not, what are you bringing to the table that somebody else isn't, right? So finding your own story, your own voice is really important. So no, we just kind of jumped in head first and we're like, all right, let's figure this out. What works, what doesn't work? Number 2, and Mandy can kind of answer this. Do you spin as a creative outlet to add dimension to your knitting or as a stress reliever? So for me, it is a creative outlet, but it also is a stress reliever. I like the kind of the motion of the way I spin and creating something and trying to go for consistency, which I think is really important, is, again, my type A personality. I like to get that smooth, thin yarn as a single, and then seeing how the yarn spins up or applies and works together into a skein, I think is beautiful. And then, of course, I do sell my yarn on my website, The Handspun, but when I do get the opportunity to see it knit up and see how it plays out from when it was fiber is kind of the icing on the top. So, how about you? Why do you spin?
I don't.
Yeah, you do.
I did one time.
And then she put it back in the closet.
It's just because I need it. I can't really start something new unless I like focus on it. So I need to like. If I was to do that, I'd have to like. I need to get these projects done and like finish that and then focus a little more because I need more practice and I get frustrated with certain things. I'm a perfectionist, so if I can't get it and like make it look good right away, and then I'm like, so.
Maybe when we have another longer trip, that's something I should do, is like bring it downstairs and just put it out. So if you're at the house, you know what I mean? Mm. It's around. And I'm not around to, you know how to do it now. But I'm not around to be looking over the shoulder. Last question is, when did you learn to knit and crochet? So for myself, I learned to crochet when I was about 8 from an elderly woman down the street. Mastered the popcorn stitch real fast. Made a blanket for this one. Yeah, I think I carried that over till maybe I was like 10, 11, because she was born when I was 10. But then that kind of went to the wayside. And then in high school, A friend of mine was knitting, and I was like, yarn, I remember that from when I was a kid. And so she kind of taught me how to knit, but I never even learned how to bind off or really do anything. I started a scarf and never finished it. And then in college, again, a new friend was a much more advanced knitter. Ravelry was starting, and she's like, I can show you. And so she just taught me more and more things. YouTube was starting. I was in the beta form of Ravelry, where you had to apply and wait weeks and maybe even a month or two to get into Ravelry. Now you can just get in like that. And eventually got into Ravelry and, patterns and yarn and eBay and all that stuff. So I just got sucked in. And then from there, it became an obsession and a stress reliever and a good thing for me to balance my college life with. And so then it blossomed into a podcast and indie dyeing company and now my profession. So what about you? When did you learn to knit and crochet? Crochet.
I never learned that, and I never will.
She had to try to wield a crochet hook this past summer, and she just could not wrap her mind around that.
I don't know the actual date, but I do remember I probably put it around middle school was like the first time. He was working at Meijer. He got me some needles. They were like a pinkish purple. I remember this. And I don't even know what he taught me to do. Maybe it was probably a scarf or something. Not sure if it was ever finished. I can't remember back then. But obviously never picked it up again. And then my freshman year of college, you kind of showed me. I did like one thing. I did like a cowl. That was like my first real thing. And then I got into arm knitting. I found that on YouTube, and I did quite a few scarves of that. That was a total fad. Like, a lot of people at my college were like trying to sell them on different Facebook groups and whatnot. Cornelia, stop snoring.
If you do hear some snoring, it is not our stomachs or anything else. It is Corn Dog fast asleep underneath us. And he is a snorer.
But then college got in the way, and friends and stuff. And I'd say, like a year and a half ago now? I'd say.
Yeah, you've probably been a knitter with a capital K about because you're just coming up at 2 years of working.
Yeah.
For LMFA.
He's getting louder.
And you were not really knitting that. You were like, I've got enough yarn around me. That's how Andy is all the time,
yeah.
Right? And then you're like, I kind of want to work with this, or I want to work with that. Or...
I was touching too much, like, pretty soft things, And then it was like, I know.
Let's just give a moment of silence so we can listen to Corn Dog. And then he gets soft.
Yeah.
He knows when. Anyway.
But yeah, I was like, okay, I'm going to stick to one thing at a time. And now here I am, like, 900. Not just knitting. Now I'm doing everything else. Thank you.
Helping you find a creative outlet. All right. Well, last episode we had a giveaway for this book, which was generously donated to the podcast by our fairy yarn mother. And it is For Easy Baby Knits by Claire Montgomery. Look at you, adorable baby. And the prompt for this on the Ravelry group was, do you follow your heart or your head? And the winner of this was number 14, Knit and Quest, and that is Laura from Georgia. So congratulations, Laura. You won this copy. And she said, I'm more of a head person. So using her head to think about situations rather than following her heart. She thinks logically rather than emotionally. And so, Laura, if you would, please direct message me on Ravelry, Dramatic Knits, with your full name, mailing address, and an email address. I'll get that book out to you as soon as I can. I did want to make a mention. I was reached out by another indie dyer, and they asked me to talk about this, and I thought it was a good cause to talk about. Urban Girl Yarns, who is going to be another vendor alongside our company as well at the Super Summer Knit Together in Nashville, is doing a special order t-shirt for Pride Month, which was June, which was last month. But I did check her shop today, and it is still up. She has 2 t-shirt options for Pride Month to support the LGBTQA community. And I will link to her Etsy shop in the show notes, which you can find at dramaticknits.com. So if you're interested, all the proceeds she talks about goes to a specific cause, which is great. That is one thing that I had not heard of much prior to this year's Pride Month, but something to think about. If you see people selling things that are Pride related and not making a donation of sales based on that, maybe think about that before purchasing. If you go to Target and you see all that Pride stuff, well, they're just making money off of a culture, right? So think about who you're supporting when you buy, support gear, wear, apparel, whatever. So, all right, June has come to a close, so that's one of the nice things about us not recording yesterday and recording today is we can pull for winners. So June 2019 Race to the Finished Object contest is over. The prize for this month was generously donated this week by Un Besito Fiber. She is going to be one of our vendors at the Knitting at the Estate Retreat, and she generously donated 2 skeins that we are going to give away together because they go so well together. These are both on their 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 450 yards to 100 grams. And this one is called Toad in the Puddle, and this one is called Big Dipper. So you have 900 yards of yarn to play with here if you are the lucky winner. And the lucky winner is number 172, and that is Nikki52879, and that's Nikki from Wisconsin. And she knit a shift shawl by Lisa Much. So congratulations, Nikki. You've won the 2 skeins of Un Besito Fiber, which you can find on Etsy, Un Besito Fiber. Go and check her out. And Nikki, if you would please contact me, Dramatic Knits, Ravelry, full name, mailing address, email address. All right. We also have a pattern.
Neither one of us can talk.
Always at the end of the episode, I start getting tongue-tied. Pattern from our featured designer, who is Jen Lucas, and she's a wonderful designer. We've worked with her many a times. And the winner of this was number 143, who is Angie Ship, and that is Andrea from Ontario, Canada. So congratulations, Andrea. She knit a Life Changes by Laura concert. And so, Andrea, if you would please take a look at Jen Lucas, her designs on Ravelry. Any design that is a giftable pattern on Ravelry, she is able to gift you. You can select. If you would direct message me with what pattern you would like, I'll let Jen know, and she will give that to you. Our July 2019 Race to the Finished Object contest is currently open. I opened that this morning, so we will have a prize next month, as well as another pattern from Jen herself. So thank you, Jen, for being our featured designer this and the next coming months. You can find a link to her pattern page, which I highly recommend you check out, on our show notes, which can be found at dramaticknits.com. Alrighty. So let's talk about Center Stage, all things Leading Men Fiber Arts. Going up this morning at 10 a.m. was our brand new colorway, which Andy created and Amanda named. We tossed around ideas, but Mandy's been winning the name game, so.
Just good at it,
She's got a fresh take. She's got that young at heart. Well, young in general, but.
I don't know.
But, so this is the new colorway.
Oh, it does not.
Yeah,
show
it's
off.
quite blown out.
Put it towards me.
But
it's a little darker over here. I don't know if that helps. Go online. You'll see what it really looks like.
Better pictures online. But this is called
Grapes of Wrath.
Inspired
By the John Steinbeck classic.
Which I've never actually read.
Which is insane. He used to be an English teacher.
Yeah, but if it wasn't in my curriculum.
I don't care. You should still read it anyway.
Anyway, so this is Grapes of Wrath. This is one of our massage speckles. And here's a swatch of it knit up on our worsted weight. So it, again, is a little blown out, but it speckles aubergine and lichen and you wrote the other one.
Mauve.
Mauve, yes. So,
overall, kind of purpley.
with those deep green speckles. So we have it pre-orders up for every yarn base as well as our classic sock sets and our shorty sock sets. So check those out on the website. The green speckle is our coordinating color for the sock sets. And then we also have knitted swatch project bags as well as Beauty Shots project bags from Anne at the Silver Shed USA. As a pre-order, you can get either the medium or the extra large size, which the extra large doubles as a crossbody with a strap. So check those out. The pre-orders for that will be up through July 8th, and then everything will ship out by July 15th. Knitting at the Estate is moving forward. We've been getting door prizes and goodie bag accoutrement from generous sponsors, and you can see who those sponsors are by visiting either knittingattheestate.com and clicking on the sponsors tab, or visiting the Knitting at the Estate Revelry group and clicking on the sponsors thread there. I highly recommend that you join our Revelry group if you want to stay up to date with information there. We have our hat drive going on. Y'all, the group raised 96 hats, or 98 hats last month. They were so close to their 100 goal. Denise DG White is doing an amazing job curating prizes and running that hat drive and doing challenges every month, and we could not be more thankful for her. So each hat that people knit and say they're either going to mail directly or bring to the retreat will get 5 door prize tickets, specialty door prize tickets, and we will have things like very cool, Mandy will test this, very cool gift baskets. We have 2 in hand right now. Andy and I are also tossing around ideas of some very nice, generous gifts to be used either at the market or something to that effect for the prizes, and you can kind of put your tickets in for what prize you want. And we will also be doing fundraising at the event, so you can purchase tickets for a certain amount, get you a certain amount of tickets. So in case you cannot knit hats or you did not have the time to knit hats or whatnot, you will also be able to enter and help donate money for Operation Chemo Comfort, which is based out of Frederick Cancer Hospital in Wisconsin. Yes, we still have 8 offsite spots available. If you're interested, you can purchase those spots on leadingmenfiberarts.com. And again, if you are a maker and you would like to donate a door prize or a goodie bag accoutrement, whether it just be coupon codes or something small for the goodie bags, please get in contact with us at knittingattheestate@gmail.com. We would love to have you become a sponsor. And upcoming shows, we just have one, which I won't even be at next time. I'm going to be home the next 2 weekends, so... but I will be attending the Super Summer Knit Together, also known as SSK, in Nashville. Mandy joined me last year, but sadly she didn't want to go this year. Maybe next year. Maybe.
He's going to watch the dogs, you know.
Andrew, he would love for you to go. The market will be open on July 20th, again in Nashville at the Scarlett Bennett Center. And I believe it's $5 to get into the market in the afternoon. It's open to retreat attendees in the morning and then to the public in the afternoon. So if you are in the Nashville area, check it out. Other than that, that's all that I have to share with you this episode. Do you have anything else to add?
Nada.
No? Well, we should see you in about 2 weeks. I don't think we have anything coming up other than maybe if her weekend plans might put us on a Monday again, but
sorry.
We'll see you in about 2 weeks or so. But until then, we hope you
knit something
dramatic.